You decide to hold your breath forever. The first minute is easy, then the lungs start screaming. A biological alarm rings in the chest. Carbon dioxide builds up. The brain hits the panic switch. This is the beginning of a very long and silent mistake. The urge to breathe isn't about oxygen, it is about the waste. Carbon dioxide dissolves into the blood. This creates carbonic acid. The blood pH drops. Chemoreceptors in the carotid arteries send a frantic signal to the medulla oblongata. The diaphragm begins to spasm. These involuntary contractions are the body trying to force a breath. The chest heaves. The face turns a deep shade of purple. This is inconvenient. Normally, the brain wins. The diaphragm forces the airway open, but you have a magical, infinite willpower. The CO2 levels climb to lethal heights. This is hypercapnia. The brain begins to swell. Blood vessels in the skull dilate to keep oxygen flowing, but there is no more oxygen. The heart slows down. This is the mammalian dive reflex, but without the water. Eventually, the oxygen saturation in the blood hits zero. Most people would pass out. Consciousness is a luxury the brain can no longer afford. You slip into a coma, but since the rule is to hold your breath forever, the muscles in the throat stay locked. The seal remains perfectly airtight. At this point, biology stops being the problem. You are clinically dead, but the goal is holding the breath. The lungs are now a sealed biological canister. The physics of the internal void begin to take over. Things are about to get significantly weirder. The lungs are not just bags of air, they are elastic tissues. Over years of holding that single breath, the internal pressure begins to shift. The temperature of the trapped air stabilizes with the environment, but the forever part of the prompt creates a temporal paradox. Since the breath is never released, the air becomes a permanent fixture of your anatomy. The organic tissue around the lungs begins to decay. The skin sloughs off, the muscles dissolve. The organs liquefy, however. The structural integrity of the locked glottis remains. You are now a skeleton wrapped in a thin layer of dried leather, clutching a pocket of air from a Tuesday in June. This pocket of air is the only thing keeping the chest cavity from collapsing under the weight of the atmosphere. You have become a biological vacuum seal. Now we enter the realm of deep time. Millions of years pass, the earth shifts, continents drift. The skeleton is buried under miles of sedimentary rock. The pressure of the overlying strata is immense. Normally, a rib cage would crush instantly, but the air inside is stubborn, it resists compression. The lung cavity becomes a geological anomaly, a tiny, high-pressure bubble of ancient atmosphere trapped in a limestone tomb. Over eons, the carbon in the remaining tissues crystallizes. The chest cavity turns into a diamond-hard geode. The air inside is compressed to a supercritical fluid. It is no longer a gas. It is a dense, shimmering soup of nitrogen and oxygen. The molecular bonds are strained. The pressure inside the chest now rivals the core of a gas giant. The sheer density of this one-held breath starts to warp the local gravity. You are no longer a person. You are a very small, very stubborn planetary core. The universe continues its expansion. The sun expands into a red giant and swallows the earth. The geode of your chest survives the heat. It is too dense to vaporize. As the solar system dissolves, you drift through the void. The pressure differential between the supercritical breath and the vacuum of space becomes the dominant force in your existence. The breath wants out. The seal is the only thing stopping a cosmic explosion. Eventually, quantum tunneling occurs. A single molecule of that ancient air leaks through the glottis. This triggers a catastrophic decompression. The stored energy of a billion years of stubbornness is released in a single nanosecond. The explosion is a blinding flash of gamma radiation. It creates a localized shockwave that clears a path through the interstellar medium. Nearby nebulae are pushed aside. New stars are ignited by the sheer violence of your exhale. The breath, finally released, expands at relativistic speeds. It is a wind of pure irony. The act of finally breathing out creates a supernova-scale event that could be detected by an advanced civilization in a different galaxy. Your commitment to the bit has rewritten the local laws of thermodynamics. The aftermath is quiet. The energy dissipates. The laws of physics return to normal. The universe has been permanently altered by a single prolonged act of respiratory defiance. All that remains of you is a cloud of ionized gas and a very confused set of photons. The sheer scale of the destruction is impressive. However, from a legal standpoint, the situation is quite simple. According to the universal statutes of health and safety, you have committed a severe violation of basic biological protocol. The Galactic Insurance Board denies your claim for accidental death. They cite the willful negligence clause. Holding your breath for 1 billion years is considered a pre-existing condition. You are billed for the cleanup of 3 neighboring star systems. The fine is quite steep. Your lungs are gone, but your curiosity shouldn't be. What happens if you eat a black hole? Subscribe to the What If Club. We have more terrible ideas.